Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The UK says that a Russian battalion lost almost all of its armoured vehicles in a failed attempt to cross a river near Severodonetsk in eastern Ukraine. Drone footage from the scene released by Ukrainian forces purports to show dozens of burnt-out tanks after Ukrainian forces shelled pontoon bridges across the Seversky Donetsk in Luhansk region. Ukraine says the Russian military suffered heavy losses, losing more than 70 units of Russian military equipment, with more than 1,000 soldiers potentially being killed. This hasn't yet been independently verified. Meanwhile, the trial of a Russian soldier accused of killing a Ukrainian civilian opened on Friday in the first war crimes trial since the war began. 21-year-old Shaishimarin appeared in a small glass cage in a Kiev courtroom for the start of a trial that has drawn international attention amid allegations that Russian forces have committed atrocities against the civilian population. He is accused of shooting a 62-year-old Ukrainian man in the head in a northeastern village in the early days of the war. He could get up to life in prison if found guilty. The European Union has pledged another €500 million in military assistance for Ukraine. The EU's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, said he was also confident a deal could be reached in the coming days over a ban on buying Russian oil.
The recipe is clear. More of the same. I mean more support to Ukraine, including military support. I will announce that we at the European Union, we will provide a new tranche of 500 more millions to support military Ukraine.
Large crowds gathered earlier at the funeral of the reporter Shireen Abu Akleh, killed in disputed circumstances in the occupied West Bank. In shocking and chaotic scenes, Israeli police clashed with Palestinian mourners. At one point, officers charged at the group carrying her coffin. She was given the rarity of a funeral at the compound of the Palestinian president Mahmoud Abbas on Thursday, where her coffin was brought draped in a Palestinian flag. Abu Akleh, who worked for Al Jazeera, was shot dead on Wednesday while reporting on an Israeli operation in the city of Jenin. The killing sparked widespread condemnation, with Israel and Palestinians trading blame. The United Nations Humanitarian Affairs Agency says the world is not paying enough attention to crises beyond the war in Ukraine, including a devastating drought in East Africa. The head of the organization made the appeal after visiting Turkana in northwest Kenya, where food is extremely scarce after a lengthy period without rain. People there are suffering from malnutrition, with some left too weak to stand or walk. Meanwhile, a severe drought across Somalia has led to hunger and hardship for farmers. According to United Nations agencies, as many as 81,000 people are facing famine conditions in parts of Somalia as drought persists, humanitarian funding dwindles, and global food prices soar. The UN World Food Programme says 20 million people across East Africa are at risk of severe hunger. North Korea's leader Kim Jongun has held a meeting with officials at the Antivirus Command Center as the country reported its first COVID-19 death. State TV said Kim visited to check on the situation and responses after declaring a gravest state of emergency and ordering a national lockdown. At least one person confirmed to have COVID has died in North Korea, and hundreds of thousands have shown fever symptoms. Experts say these numbers probably represent a small fraction of the infections, as it is one of only 2 countries in the world without a COVID vaccination campaign. The Queen has arrived at the Royal Windsor Horse Show after missing the state opening of Parliament earlier this week. The 96-year-old was driven onto the showground in a Range Rover and watched her animals from the passenger seat. The Queen currently has mobility problems and has had to cancel a number of recent public appearances. And Elon Musk has said his $44 billion deal to buy Twitter is temporarily on hold after he queried the number of fake or spam accounts on the social media platform. On the very platform he's hoping to buy, he said, Twitter deal temporarily on hold, pending details supporting calculation that spam fake accounts do indeed represent less than 5% of users. Mr. Musk has been vocal on cleaning up spam accounts. Following the announcement, Twitter shares fell by 25% in pre-market trading. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.